You are a family guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
Oh, really?
By following you on your Instagram, on your TikTok.
Uh-huh.
So, last time we did an episode, you talked about your wife, Mama Jessica. And that went so viral.
Oh, yeah.
So, I want to know, how has your family influenced your content creation process?
Okay, so people really, really like Mama Jessica. My most viral content is Mama Jessica.
Yeah.
Because we have 27 years, I'd say together, but in different capacities. You know, when we met, she was 19 when we met. You know?
Wow.
And well, that's when the relationship is that relationship where you become lovers, and then you become wachumba, you get engaged, and then there's the marriage, and then there's the small family, which is very, very different from when the children start growing up.
Yeah.
You know, because when you have children in a relationship, you kind of put things on hold a bit.
Yeah.
You know, you just focus on the relationship because you've got small babies there. But then when their babies get to like 6 or 7 or 8 years old, you need to focus on the relationship. Now, things have changed.
Yeah.
You've been together for 10 years. Things have changed. You're not so excited by each other anymore. Bodies have changed, especially after birth. And then you have to redefine what happens. And then, of course, humans, I'm not sure whether humans are designed necessarily to stay with one person their whole lives. And so people can stray, and that's Mama Jessica and I had a separation, which we dealt with, I think, in the best way possible. If you think a marriage is hard, a separation is even harder, especially to maintain good contact with, good connections with this person that's the mother, you both parents of children. So I'm not a enemies person. I don't like to have any enemies. So when you have like a separation, you think, well, you know, you're angry and they're angry and you blame each other. We're normal human beings, yeah. But what's the best way through this, for the sake of the children and this? So we had an open door policy for see our children. When I was a child, I was only allowed to see my father once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was very painful for me. Because as children of us in separation, you're told it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Well, so why am I paying for it? Why can't I see my dad when I want to, you know? So we had an open door policy, and that was difficult for us to move on to get different relationships, although we did. But there was straining on the relationships to say, you know, I have a new girlfriend, and why is it that you still have a relationship with your ex-wife?
Yeah.
So those didn't really work out. And then I realized that actually children have a right to both their parents.
Okay.
So then I had to move to England at this time as well. I said, okay, Mama Jessica, look, let's live together and raise the children together. So there we entered a different capacity where we were co-parents.
Yeah.
You know, living in the same house. And then this is where people like to ask a lot of other questions, you know, which is personal information, right? Home affairs, you know, there's some things that are public and some things that are private. But what's nice is Mama Jessica and I have learnt to live very well together. We're very good friends. We love each other dearly.
Yeah.
And we've gone through similar things as well. In fact, it's really nice how we've grown closer together. As the children have been leaving home, it's very difficult for children to leave home, especially for an African.
Yeah.
Because for her, she's in Africa. She's in Europe, sorry. For her, she's in Europe. And when children leave home for an African woman, they just take other children from Jirani, from the neighbors, from the sister, there's always other children you can have around.
Yeah.
But now she's facing the idea that, okay, so Mickey, our last born, is there, but he's 19.
Yeah.
He'll be moving on, you know. So anyway, going back to the original question.
Yeah.
Mama Jessica is very, very liked in the content.
Yeah.
Because she's very, very comfortable at home, because she's been with me for 27 years in different capacities.
Yeah.
She's not scared of me, yeah? So she will speak her mind in a very African way, and we just capture it as well. So there's arguments in a very African way, and there's one video that any time I put on, even if I repeat it, it gets 2 million views. And it's the one where she pushes past me. I've just come back from exercise. She pushes past me, and I say, "Umeni skuma na takolako," you know, and then she shakes, and then it shakes. It's very funny. And then I say, you never listen to a woman, you put peas in your ears. It's a very good video that I keep on posting. If I want 10,000 new followers, I post that particular video. There's other videos where we're arguing. She's very, very good at arguing because she doesn't take any grief. She doesn't sit there and just accept what I'm saying. She will give me far worse than I give her. And so, yeah, my top 5 trending videos are all of her. Yes, people do like, Tanzanians love her, yeah.
I lived 5 years in Turkey. I went there for university. I remember when I went there, my mom told me, do not bring a Turkish woman at home. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we have different cultures. So you'll have a lot of troubles living with her. You have a lot of troubles making her to cope with the Tanzanian culture. So definitely your marriage won't last. So you and Mama Jessica are from 2 different cultures. Mm-hmm. So how did you manage to cope with each other for the all 27 years that you've been living together?
So actually, I will attribute it to luck, because you're absolutely right. We have 2 different views on life, yeah? But what's fortunate is I've come a lot onto the African Tanzanian cultural way, because I've been living in Tanzania for most of that time. Yeah. I learned the language to fluency, so there's a lot about Tanzanian culture I love. For example, respect to old age, that's from Iringa, where I used to live. There's a lot of patience in Tanzanian African culture, that I've come to accept. But yes, you're right. Initially, when we met, I liked the way she looked. I was 23 and she was 19. What do you think I'm going to ask her about her child raising?
What do you like? The shape?
Yeah, I like this. I liked in War. Yeah, we call it War.
Ubambata.
I do like this, yeah. I like that, and that's what I wanted, yeah. Now, what's very lucky are there's 2 things, maybe a few more, that we've just agreed on, okay? Because mainly the African cultural way. Like, for example, Mickey's 19, yeah? So the European way is when a kid's 19, especially a boy, leave the home. Go make a life for yourself.
Yeah.
And it was concerning me. Why is my son still at home? Yeah. But Mama Jessica said, look, in African culture, in Tanzanian culture, we don't throw people out of the house, ever. They can stay as long as they like, yeah? And you know what? I've come over to her side. I think that's better. That's a better culture. I prefer that. Yeah, there's problems with that, is that they just, sit at home and eat and don't get their life started. But I'll take being easier on a kid. You're not so strict. Tanzanians don't have such, you have to go to bed at 8:30 p.m. I like the way the African way, where the kid falls asleep on the couch, and all the family way. I like that way. So I've come across 90% of the way. I've come across onto the African way.
Okay.
So when I say, Mama Jessica, no, I'm really serious about this. This is going to be, we're going to do it the European way. She listens, and also she agrees. For example,